Hello and welcome everyone to a new season of sim racing with the Sim Racing guys. Today we kick off our season at the lovely Donington Park National Circuit. We're going to have controversies already. Even the race starts, smaller field jumped in to try and keep things as competitive as possible. So the way that the qualifying works with the Evo Sim Racing setup is that we start off with our qualifying session where we get 3 fastest laps, then have a 20-minute sprint race, followed by a reverse grid, a 45-minute race, and that will settle the men from the boys as we get into it. So we start off the race, and as they pile off the line, we can see that Mark Pendlebury's had a great start here in the lead. Jeff tucks in behind him with Steve following close. And on the left-hand side, we've got Chris Holes as Tuggy smashes into him. Camera hasn't quite caught it there, but it looks like there's been no lasting damage. Looks like we got Paul and Brian and Axel fighting at the rear as they come down the Craner curves for the first time. Now these cars are absolute treacherous on brand new tyres. See if there's any funner games happening here. Looks like they're all through nice and safely for the first time. Jump forward slightly and we've got Tuggy sending it up on the inside of, I think that's James Hurlow. It's going to go around the outside here. Round it goes. Looks like we've got a car off in front. Chris Palmer, that's off. Oh, that's Chris Holt, sorry. There's too many Chris's here. Anyway, round they go, and they seem to be taking this very sensibly indeed. Tuggy tucking behind, trying to get the draft here. As they go down the long straight into the chicane. Dives down the inside, looks like it's got it here. Takes it nice and sensibly. That looks like a good move. But back he comes. Mr. Hurlow takes him on the outside. Going to go 2 abreast into Redgate. And Axel sends it on the inside. Down they go, down into the Craner curves. This guy's keeping it nice, close and personal. Down they go. Tuggy's looking nice. Oh, there's a car off. Is everyone going to be able to avoid him? Looks like he's come back on. Oh, there's some chaos here. Is the camera going to get this? Oh, he's off. He's off. He's dominoes and Tuggy's in here. Through he goes, off onto the gravel. Looks like there's no nasty damage. But let's have a look, see what happened there. So we're going to jump on board with Mr. Jeff Sharp here. Normally famous for his turn 1 antics. It looks like he's going to have a trouble here in turn 3. So he comes into the old hairpin, takes it a little bit too quick for these cold tyres. Tries to correct it, seesaws the wheel. Onto the grass, tries to rejoin. Bit of a dodgy rejoin, but we'll let him off. Spins it, holds his brakes, and lets everyone come past. Now you can see here just how close they were to taking Jeff for another little smash there. Let's take one more look. So we jump on board with the follow cam here on Jeff's car. Going to be in slow motion here just to see what happens. See here, starts braking just at the edge of that dodgy bit of tarmac. Car's constantly moving left and right. So the car's snapping right here. Starting to oversteer, so he tries to correct it by steering left. Car overcorrects, then saws it one way, saws the other. It slides off to the grass. Little bit of throttle just to try and keep the car straight. Everything going nice and well here and recovery. Maybe not quite checking his mirrors properly as Steve comes flying past. Steve sees him going and keeps well clear. Jeff then gets it completely wrong as soon as he hits a bit more grip. And just completely and utterly spins the car. And mayhem ensues. One goes past, no problem. Jeff then holds his brakes. That spins round, and then this mayhem happens. You have Chris Holes come past, no problem whatsoever. Tuggy come past, no problem whatsoever. Axel, James Hurlow come past. Brian comes past, no problem. It looks like there's a close battle developing here between Paul and Axel, the Manor. So coming into the chicane. Oh, that looks like is that Mr. Hurlow taking a little adventure there? As oh, and there's a bit of a smash there in the background. Not quite sure what that was. Anyway, Chris Holst comes into the pits. I think that's Tuggy as well, jumping in the pits, repairing some of their damage. And Paul's on the hunt for Axel's blood. Jump forward a lap and we now have Tuggy. No, we jump forward a lap and we have Axel right on the bumper there of, I think that's Chris Palmer, and Chris Palmer spun. He's took it off. Paul's going to get a freebie as he shouts, "Thank you very much, Axel." James Hurlow's he going to take it as well? He comes down the inside of Axel. Yes, nice clean move. Axel takes it back around the inside. Is he going to be able to hold it there? They're two abreast. James has the tow from Paul's car though, so what's going to happen here as they come into the chicane? Axel taking a very tight inside line, dives in late. James lets him have the room, does he? Yes, that's an aggressive move there by Axel, but he gets the job done. Jump forward a bit more and we've got Axel right on the back of James's car here. What's going to happen as they come in to the chicane? Oh, Axel spun! Just took it a bit too wide there, kept on the power, and the car just said, "Thank you very much, you are off, mate." Oh, and we've got on board back with Tuggy here, and he's just spun again. Mr. Palmer flies through, tries to avoid him. Oh, and that famous iRacing gravel just about slows him down enough. But in the lead, all by himself, is Mr. Pendlebury. He's turned up to down, he's in a completely different class as he's coming up to lap. I think this is Brian. Brian moves out the way nicely and says, "There you go, my lord." Jump on board the drone cam as we've got Steve coming up to lap one of the cloud above cars. Either Brian or Steve, Brian or Paul, sorry. Brian takes it a bit wide and spins, but he lets Steve go through. And here he comes, Steve, down through the rain of curves. Great camera view this as we see trees and bushes and nothing else. Looking good though as he comes into the old hairpin, and he's just took it too quickly. Car spun, and that's it. He's in the grass. Now he's got the car in neutral. If you try to get one of these cars out of neutral back into first gear, you're going to have no luck whatsoever. Took him a long time to spin there. He's got it back in place, but that's second place thrown away. Ball comes through. That leaves Jeff coming up into second place. So we've got Mark in first place, Jeff in second, Mr. Hurlow in third, Paul in fourth, Steve now chasing down Paul. Get back. Place. We jump on board with Tuggy, who I think it's fair to say isn't having the best race of his life as he's struggling around here towards the back of the pack. Just normally fine young racer, but not having one of his best days. As he comes into the pits to serve his 17x penalty. Now, we would have liked to show you all of Tuggy's instance, but unfortunately this video has got to be under 3 hours long, so maybe next time we'll try and limit it a bit better. We haven't spoke about him much, but here he is, Mr. Sharp, with a fantastic recovery drive after nearly swiping out half of the field, spin at the old hairpin. Coming through nicely now, up into second place and cruising without a hope to catch the lead mark. And again, another chap we haven't mentioned much since the start of the race, but here's Mr. James Hurlow. Apparently he's a new racer, or he may have raced a long time ago, we are not too sure, but he's come from nowhere, and he's come from the back of the grid up till third position. And a bit further back here we have Jeff chasing down Mr. Palmer, ready to try and put a lap on him. Is he going to dive down the inside of the old hairpin? He is! Chris gives him the room, Jeff goes through. And that, Mr. Sharp, is how you take that good. And Chris has gone off. The pressure there being lapped was just too much for Mr. Palmer. And so here he is, our winner of our Race 1 Evo Championship of this season, Mr. Pendlebury. He comes to take the checkered flag and all the prizes and spoils. And in second place on the part of the podium that no one wants to be on, it's Mr. Jeff Sharp taking second place. And in third place, after a fantastic brand new drive, Mr. Hurlow takes the bottom step of the podium. And just behind we have Steve chasing, it's about 5 seconds behind, and Paul about 5 seconds behind him as well, so it ended up quite close there towards the end. Steve takes 4th place, and Paul takes 5 to round up the top 5. So then a full rundown of the race 1 results, and a absolutely crushing win there by Mr. Lord Mark Pendlebury. Jeff Sharp coming in 27 seconds behind after his lap 2 chaos. Mr. Hurlo brings up the bottom step of the podium, 41 seconds behind, with Steve and Paul a few seconds behind him. Chris Hulse rounding up the races on the proper lap, and behind them, all a lap down, we have Axel in 7th, Ryan in 8th, Buggy in 9th, and Mr. Palmer up the rear. So you join us for race 2, where because of the famous Evo rules, we have our reverse grid for the top 10, and because there's only 10 drivers in this race, that's the whole grid. We have Mr. Chris Palmer in pole, followed by Mr. Tuggy Anthony Marriott. Brian takes 3rd, Axel in 4th, Chris in 5th, Paul 6th, Steve 7th, James 8th, Jeff 9th, and Mark in 10th, with hopefully more of a difficult race for him this time he had in the first race. So we join the cars on the grid and they are ready to go, and Barney waves the flag and off they go. It's been a great start by Chris. Mr. Pendlebury and Jeff also having a good start towards the back. Anything could happen here as there's normally absolute chaos. Chris takes the lead, in through they go. Through Red Gate, doesn't seem to be any problem so far, but the Craner curves are absolutely treacherous with these cold tyres, just like they were in the first race. Anything could happen. Seems to be focusing on Steve here as he goes around the outside. He brakes to avoid the car, misses Axel, and camera's gone a bit weird here, but look at this offer, there's chaos everywhere. Let's take a closer look and see what on earth happened there. So we're going to follow Mr. Jeff T1 Sharp here. As he comes down the Craner curves, we can see him get up front. So there's multiple spins at the same time, a bit synchronised. Steve manages to hit the front of someone. Mark comes around the outside, and following this, there's only 6 cars that got through this unscathed. Let's just take one more look at this from Brian's cockpit here. It just seems to take a bit wide. Took the grass, spun it. Look at all the chaos that's around him. Oh, kisses the barriers as well for good luck, but off he goes. So we jump forward a lap here and we can see the leaders come through. They seem to have bunched up a little bit with Chris Palmer in 1st, Chris Hull 2nd, Axel 3rd, Mark 3rd, 4th, sorry. Oh, and Paul's out the lazy spin coming into the hairpin, swings it round. That was nearly a beautiful 360 there, my friend. Jump forward another lap and we can see here the battle, or who's probably going to end up at the front of this race with Jeff and Mark. The battle is heating up here and this could go either way with the way these cars draft and everything else. I think these two are going to be very close for the whole race. Trying to use, I think that's Brian. Brian's toe there down the straight. Is Jeff going to make a move? Not this time. Brian sticks it to the left and lets these guys go. So we start following Mr. Tuggy here as he comes into the corner, and he's just overcooked it, spins it round, keeps the engine running though, and off he goes. And here's Axel going through the first corner, takes it too quickly, spins it, hold your brakes, hold your brake. No one coming, so I don't know why you're holding your brake. Oh, there they go. Off you go, son. And here's Mr. Lord General Sir Pendlebury. Comes into the first corner. Oh, this is a bit hot. He's caught the grass. Oh, here we go. Just to prove that absolutely no one is infallible. There he goes. Mr. Mark Pendlebury. Half spin. But off he goes. No damage done. And here's Mr. Palmer. Chris Palmer spins it. 360. Alley-oop. And off he goes. And here's Mr. Palmer again through the last chicane. And, oh, he's spun. And he's took Mr. Sharp with him. Jeff's decided to take the international layout backwards. The crazy fool. But off they go. Chris seems to have ducked in straight away for any damage to be repaired. Jeff's carried on. Okay, here's Chris coming up onto Chris Oh, Chris Hulse goes off. Chris Palmer goes through. And I think that was Jeff going through again. Here's Mark as he comes up on one of the cloud above cars, and he's disappeared. Oh no, he's back. iRacing, fix this. Oh, whichever car that was decides to exit stage left, and Mr. Pendlebury goes through. And here's Paul. Yes, I can tell which one's which now. He comes into the last chicane. Oh, he's overcooked that, and he's spun it. Oh, and he's hit neutral. Wait a second. Oh, he's got reverse. Give him a few seconds. Yeah. Oh, and he's off. There you go, proving that even professionals don't have a clue what they're doing when their car goes backwards. And here he is at the next corner, proving that once a spinner, always a spinner. Oh, that was with some good style there, though. Well, one more. No. And Chris is off as well. These cars have been absolute handfuls from all out there today. Oh, and here's Chris taking another trip. I think he's trying to find the East Midlands Airport that's just down the road here. Oh, and he's disappeared. And unfortunately, I hate to tell you, but my replay seems to have been corrupted a little bit here, so we don't have much of the race missing. We've missed a big chunk of the race here even. But I can tell you, look, here's Mr. Mark Pendlebury disappearing on and off, but taking the checkered flag for his second win of the day. And you might just be able to see Mr. Sharp there in the background with the damage he picked up with that collision with Chris. Unfortunately, he hasn't been able to challenge him, but he's managed to take that second place. And with that, I can tell you that the race has ended with Mr. Pendlebury getting his second win of the day. Jeff Sharp coming in a cool 5 seconds behind him, a lot closer this time. Behind them, we had Mr. Tuggy and James Hurlow coming in third and fourth, separated by only 0.3 of a second. Chris Hulse a few more seconds back, and Steve Everson leading up the people that ended up on the lead lap. And behind them, we had Axel, Chris, and Paul all a lap down, and Brian 2 laps down at the end. So after a very exciting couple of races there, we have ended up with our championship leaderboard looking something like this. Mr. Mark Pendlebury leads the way with 62 points. Jeff Sharp just behind with 36. James Hurlow just behind them with 27. Steve on 20. Chris Hulse on 18 and Tuggy on 17. Paul and Axel tied for 7th on 12. And Brian and Chris tied on 5 at 9th place. More races to come next week, where we have some exciting competitors coming back into the fold, and also a trip to our next racetrack, which will be IRO4 cars at Montreal. Hope to see you all there. Bye bye.